Los Angeles has always been a city that hides its secrets in plain sight. Some of those secrets take the form of scandals splashed across the front pages, murders, corruption, riots, crimes that shake the city to its core. But some of the most fascinating stories in Los Angeles have nothing to do with bloodshed or mayhem. Some of them live quietly in the hills, in libraries, in lecture halls, in places where the city's restless search for meaning takes on a different shape. And for nearly 70 years, one man stood at the center of that quieter story, a man who became one of the most influential metaphysical teachers in the modern world without ever starring in a film or running a studio. His name was Manly Palmer Hall. Hall wasn't a native Angelino. He was born in 1901 in Canada, drifting through childhood with a mother whose spiritual interests kept them in motion. By 1919, when he was just 18 years old, he arrived in Los Angeles, a city that was reinventing itself every few months. Oil derricks rising over Baldwin Hills, silent film studios expanding through Hollywood, new immigrants arriving by the thousands, spiritual groups popping up on every block. If there was ever a place where a young thinker obsessed with ancient symbols and hidden histories could find an audience, it was Los Angeles in the years just after World War I. Hall didn't waste any time. He started lecturing before he was even 20, first in small halls and rented rooms, then in larger theaters as word spread. What set him apart wasn't theatrics or drama. He wasn't a prophet. He wasn't a mystic claiming powers, and he wasn't promising miracles. What he did offer was something rare, a mind capable of connecting thousands of years of mythology, philosophy, religion, psychology, and symbolism into one coherent, steady explanation of what human beings have always been searching for. And in a city filled with people looking for a reason to believe in something more than traffic and ambition, his voice landed like a map. By the mid-1920s, Hall was already building a reputation that stretched far beyond Los Angeles. At just 27 years old, in 1928, he published a book that would become his masterpiece, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. To this day, it's considered one of the most important metaphysical encyclopedias ever written, a massive illustrated volume that covers everything from ancient Egyptian religion to Greek mystery schools, from Tibetan philosophy to medieval alchemy. The book put Hall on the international map, and it was written right here in Los Angeles, not in a monastery or a European university, but in a city that had barely learned how to spell its own name a few decades earlier. As Hall's following grew, he needed a permanent home for his work, a place that wasn't a church, wasn't a cult, and wasn't tied to any dogma. In 1934, he built it, a striking modernist building on Los Feliz Boulevard, tucked between the quiet residential streets and the shadow of Griffith Park. He called it the Philosophical Research Society, a nonprofit library, lecture hall, and research center dedicated to studying the wisdom traditions of the world. No secrecy, no initiation, no hierarchy, just books, ideas, and a stage where Hall would speak for more than half a century. Week after week, year after year, Hall stood in that warm, quiet auditorium and delivered lectures that drew people from every corner of Los Angeles. Actors from the studios, students from UCLA and USC, writers looking for inspiration, psychologists curious about symbolism, ordinary neighbors who wanted something deeper than what they found in Sunday sermons or Hollywood headlines. Hall wasn't flashy, he wasn't loud, but when he spoke about the symbolism of ancient temples, the ethics of personal growth, the myths that shaped civilizations, or the patterns of human behavior, people listened. For 60 years, he explained the philosophies of the ancients in a calm, measured tone, never telling people what to believe, only showing them how to think more deeply. His influence spread far beyond Los Feliz. The Secret Teachings of All Ages was reprinted again and again. His essays circulated everywhere from universities to occult bookstores to Hollywood backlots. Directors, painters, musicians, psychologists, screenwriters, all sorts of people quietly cited him as an influence. His reach was subtle but enormous. But like most long and complicated lives, Hall's wasn't without shadows, especially toward the end. By the late 1980s, Hall was elderly and fragile. His wife, Marie Bauer Hall, whom he married in 1950, claimed he was being manipulated by people around him, especially by a Philosophical Research Society employee and caretaker named Daniel Fritz. According to Marie, Fritz had gained enormous influence over Hall's daily life. In 1990, shortly before Hall's death, his will was changed under circumstances Marie described as suspicious. Then, on August 29, 1990, Hall died at age 89. The initial public statement, including early obituary coverage, said that he died of natural causes, in his sleep. But when Marie finally saw his body, she was horrified. She later told investigators and the press that Hall's death didn't look peaceful at all, that he appeared bruised, discolored, and possibly neglected. She insisted the circumstances were suspicious, and she alleged that fraud and coercion surrounded the new will and Hall's final months. LAPD took her concerns seriously. They opened a homicide investigation, examined the will, interviewed witnesses, and looked into the activities of Daniel Fritz. In the end, investigators did not charge Fritz with murder. There wasn't enough evidence to prove foul play beyond a reasonable doubt. But the story didn't end there. A civil court later found that Fritz had stolen money from Hall and mishandled funds related to Philosophical Research Society. He was removed from his position at the organization, and the rewritten will he helped engineer was invalidated. The court actions didn't label him a killer, but they did confirm financial misconduct and exploitation. So Hall's death, while officially listed as natural, was, and still is, surrounded by contested details, proven financial wrongdoing, and unresolved questions. Not a conspiracy, not a murder case with a solved culprit, but not the serene, simple passing often repeated in surface-level biographies either. Despite that turbulent ending, Hall's life left behind something extraordinarily stable. The building on Los Feliz Boulevard, the Philosophical Research Society, still stands. Its library still holds rare esoteric texts from around the world. Its auditorium still hosts lectures on symbolism, ethics, psychology, mythology, and the search for meaning. Modern teachers speak on the same stage where Hall once stood, delivering ideas to a new generation of Angelenos, hungry for something deeper than the endless cycle of celebrity news and political noise. And Los Angeles, whether it realizes it or not, carries pieces of Hall's influence everywhere. In the bookstores of Los Feliz, in the architecture of Griffith Park's surrounding neighborhoods, in the conversations about spirituality, consciousness, and symbolism that still echo through the city's creative circles. Hall didn't ask people to follow him. He asked them to learn. And somehow, in a city that changes its identity every 10 years, his teachings outlasted almost everything around him. Manly Palmer Hall wasn't a prophet, a cult leader, or a magician. He was a researcher, a lecturer, a man who believed that ancient wisdom didn't belong in locked temples or dusty European libraries. It belonged in Los Angeles, accessible to anyone who wanted to understand why human beings have been asking the same questions for thousands of years. And that's how a quiet scholar from Canada became one of the most influential metaphysical teachers of the modern world, building a home for ancient knowledge in the middle of Los Feliz, shaping the intellectual landscape of a city built on dreams, and leaving behind a legacy that survives him. Not because he demanded followers, but because he spent a lifetime showing people how to think for themselves.